Okay, to take the Knit Quick knitting machine apart, first I removed the 4 legs so that they wouldn't get in my way. And then I removed all the screws on the outside edge. And they're pretty deep, so you need a little skinny screwdriver, Phillips head, and then carefully hold it together and flip it over. And then you can remove these screws on the inside. And to loosen the crank handle, you won't be able to take it off. There's a little cap that goes on the end. You just pry that little cap off, and there's a long screw in there. And that'll make that a little bit looser so you can take that outer ring off. And you'll just have to, I don't know if you can see that, I'm just pulling on this crank a little bit just to get this out. And just ease it off of there. Next comes this white ring. It has all the numbers on it. Then the black ring comes off. And you'll want to pay attention to where your black needle is so that you can put it back in the same slot. So let me get this past that little lever there. Just ease that off. And then there's an inner ring in here. And if you want to see how the machine works, there's a little heel that all the needles travel up and down. This would stay down because the retaining ring would hold it, but each needle travels up that little heel to form stitches. So make note of which slot your black needle is in, and be sure you put it back in that same slot. You can put a little mark on your machine. And then you take all the needles out by just pulling them out the top. You could just turn this whole thing upside down on a towel just to get all the needles out quickly. And if you want to repair the gears, there's one more needle there, you'd have to turn this upside down. I don't have the machine here, I have it in another location, but my gears were stripped. The little teeth had broken off. And so I took some Mighty Putty and I just roughly shaped out a new gear for the ones that were missing, and just kind of shaped it as best I could. And then once it dried really hard, then I took a little small file and I shaped it even more and made it the same size as the rest of these little teeth. And the machine is good as new. And I'm sure that most of the other plastic parts, maybe not the needles, but most of them could be repaired that way. Because you can't buy replacement parts for this machine. And if you needed to do any repairs to this gear here, you could do the same thing. There's some sort of a grease in there that you might want to lubricate it if you need to. So to put this back in, you just set the needle holder back in the machine, and then you just reverse everything you did and just put all your needles back in. So I need to put my black needle where it belongs. So the needles go with the hook facing out. And just put all the needles back in their slots, one by one. Okay, the next thing is the ring that holds all the needles in, and I really need to clean this. There's a little thing for the same shape on the inside where the needles rise up. You want to line that up back where that was. And then you could put the screws in now if you want to, these inner screws, but I'm going to just show you how to put all the other parts together one by one. The black ring, let's see, let's put this one in first, this white ring. And the black ring goes over the needles, and sometimes this will be the one that'll give you trouble to line them up, because the needles have to go back into those little slots where the little posts are sticking up. And the needles still kind of move around a little bit, so it makes it hard to line them up. But sometimes I'll just reach in there and wiggle the needles to get them in their slots. Because if you don't get this black ring seated correctly, then none of the other parts are going to want to seat correctly. So I'm going to just turn this handle a little bit to see if those needles are coming out like they should. And it feels like it's in there. So this one has numbers on it, so you're going to want to line up your number 1 with the black needle. Unless you don't care where the numbers go. And then this one, you're going to have to seat this back where the handle is. So I would just try to just kind of lean that in there and wiggle it back in. You can pull on the handle if you need to and snap it in there. And I would probably put my handle screw in first, get that tight. And then I would do all of these screws, and then I would flip it over and do the screws on the underside, and you're done.